as well. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 2 of Lymph Uniting the World series of videos. And the reason this is episode 2, because we had such a ball in episode 1. Angela and I ran out of time. So let me introduce you again to the lovely Angela Marquez, who's otherwise known as the Funky Lymphedema. So welcome, Angela, for episode 2.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. Yes, we ran out of time because we both like to chat.
We both like to chat, and there is just so much to talk about, obviously,
There
in the
is.
world of lymphedema. And, you know, I must first of all thank you, because you've just told me before coming on air as such that yesterday was pretty traumatic for you, following on from our episode 1. Do you want to just touch on your last 24 to 48 hours?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, just going about life as usual. Wednesday started shivering and thought, oh no, oh no. Sure enough, my leg was turning red. Started my doxycycline that I always have on hand, but that just didn't kick it this time. It just wouldn't go away. So yesterday, which was Thursday, ended up in ER, antibiotic through IV, and another prescription. 100% better. I literally night and day turnaround.
Wow.
Yeah, and I even shared with my husband. It's so hard to articulate into words. It's not even just the leg; it's the mentally the fog and this how you're literally taken out when this it comes on with a vengeance and out of nowhere. But I am feeling 100% better.
Well, you know, it's incredible that A, you're here doing this recording with me, and B, still looking as glamorous as ever. I don't know how you do it, but
I think it's this video has dark lighting. I don't know how to change it.
Anyway, well, thank you for taking the trouble after what could be pretty horrendous.
No,
48
it's
hours.
no trouble. It's my pleasure.
And you know, one of the reasons for continuing this was we touched on cellulitis in episode 1. We talked about our diagnosis and how we deal with certain things. But I think as we've touched on your doxycycline situation, one thing that we forgot to mention about the emergency packs, which we are encouraged to carry with us, especially if we're going away from home, is to check the best before dates on your medication, which I'd completely forgotten last time. And I think it's important because I hadn't checked mine, admittedly, and I think mine were 2 or 3 years out of date, which
I mean, I still have one that's 2 or 3 years. I don't know why I can't get rid of it. Security blanket. I mean, I have an updated one, but it was just there was a time where the script didn't get called in quick enough, and so I took the outdated one. But then I was scolded by my doctor, and I'm like, well, I had to take something.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those who don't know what an emergency pack is, especially if you've got lymphedema, you're prone to cellulitis, as Angela's just been mentioning. So an emergency pack has a whole raft of elements to it that should you get cellulitis, A, you know what to do, B, you have on hand the equipment, the tools, the tablets that you can hopefully put it at bay before you get A&E or ER treatment, as Angela said. But if in doubt, there is a chapter in my book which includes the emergency pack. But the focus of today was we were touching on you know, lymphedema as a whole. There's so much to cover because it really does take an enormous amount of time to self-care, to self-manage. So
it's a full-time job. I always say that. I have 2 full-time jobs.
So that it was really to delve a bit deeper, Angela, from the perspective of you know, a lovely lady in the States and a fella in the UK, and how we deal with it, and how if there's anything that we can pass on, any tips or helpful solutions to others that perhaps they haven't tried before. So what does your typical day, typical week look like? And what elements do you take seriously with your self-care?
One is definitely skincare. That is lotion, every day. I have a lotion that's made for the feet. I really just feel that that's, important, even though I just got cellulitis. And again, the doctor's like, oh, you don't have any cuts or anything on you. And I'm like, yep, I know. But definitely skincare, uh, exercise, wearing my compression. And then I do have a pump that I probably do, 2, 3 times a week just because of life.
Hmm.
But that is my consistency. And as far as, I don't follow a special diet. I just, I try to eat well and have, treats, if you will, in moderation, but I'm not on like a special diet, because I know some people, certain diets help them.
Yeah, it's an interesting
Yeah.
one, the
Hmm.
whole diet, and I've not ventured into that territory myself. I did
Right.
buy a book last year about lymphedema and diet and nutrition. To be frank, I've read some of it, and there's advice from others to try keto diets because of
Right.
inflammation, etc. But like you, I just try and eat balanced, sensible. Yeah, now and again I fall off the wagon and have a
Oh,
little
yeah.
cheeky bar of chocolate or whatever. But
Right.
you got to have some treats, right? Otherwise, what's the
Exactly.
um,
Exactly. Keep it balanced.
keep it balanced? Exactly. So going back briefly to the skincare,
Mhm.
we know obviously most, hopefully, touch wood, most people with lymphedema will know that skincare is important because it creates a barrier on the skin
Mhm.
to fight off infection.
Right.
Essentially that, and to keep the skin moist and to stop it from cracking, because if the skin
Right.
cracks, that's where those bugs are going to get in, right? So
Right.
what do you
Right.
use out there, and do you have to pay for it personally, or
So there is La Roche Posay. They've been kind enough to gift me some products that I started trying a year ago. It's their moisturizer, and I love it, and I continue to use it. Um, it- yeah, I love that one. I recommend that one. And then, and again, these, just to back up with La Roche Posay, they also do a lot for cancer treatment.
Mhm.
So these products are good for sensitive skin or people going through chemo or radiation.
Right.
They're created by dermatologists, their products. And then Eucerin is another one that
Mhm.
I've used as well that I like. So for me, those two, I put it on, and then by the time I go to put my garment on, it's dried down. So I haven't had any problems with that.
And that's a really good point. You've just reminded me of my impatience sometimes of letting I use
Right.
Dermol 500, and it's on prescription in the UK. So Dermol 500 is the lotion,
That
and
you use.
yeah, that I use on my leg.
Okay.
And I have to remind myself to let it sink in because I'm in such a hurry to get dressed, to get ready to crack on with the day, that
Yeah.
sometimes, if I'm honest, it's not quite sunk in, and you do see a bit of seepage through the compression garment, which I understand from the experts is not great for the material.
Right.
If it soaks into the material, then you go through the washing cycles. Over time, it will deteriorate the material. So here's a tip from my own mistakes. And obviously you're compliant. I can hear that. Is let the cream sink in.
No, I was just gonna say, right. I mean, I don't want to come like, oh yes, I let it dry down. I mean, most of the time. But
Aha.
if I am in a hurry, I will take a towel. That's what I was going to say, and like pat my leg
Uh-huh.
to soak up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
No,
that's
because
like
like
a
you,
fast track.
that's the fast track. I'm one of those. I'm usually always in a hurry. So
Yeah, it is. It is. Stealing an extra 15 minutes in bed asleep, or
right.
through the whole wash, dry,
Yep.
moisturize, wait, and then put
Right.
your garments on, which I'm terrible at. So,
Right.
so skincare we've covered. I think
Right.
that's been quite important. You also mentioned a pump. So tell us a bit more about what you use and how
Right.
you use it. You said 3 times a week.
Right. And because I'm just being honest, I'm not someone who's like, oh yes, I do it daily. I should. And then, and again, my lymphedema for the most part is when I say in check, my leg is stable. So the pump that I use is the Flexi Touch by Tactile Medical. And that's that's the only pump that I've ever used. And I do have bilateral lymphedema, so I have dermal backflow in my right leg.
Right.
So I need a pump that, with the two legs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I jump in that. Well, I don't jump in that, but I put it on, and then yeah, it's a 60-minute cycle. And I typically do mine. What works best for me is at the end of the day.
Right.
So I'm a sales rep, so I'm on my feet all day walking around. Then I work out. So it's just a nice way, and again, self-care of the way to end my day. I'll read or put on Netflix and
yeah. I mean, for those who haven't tried the pump, essentially, I think I'm in a similar kind of garment to you. It's like a bodysuit. It comes right up here to really pump the lymphatic system, as if it's almost mirroring manual lymphatic drainage, right? So that it moves the lymph up your body. And I also do an hour. Now these are not cheap, these machines.
No, they're not.
They are an investment, but at the end of the day, lymphodemas for life. Manual lymphatic drainage is great, and I'm an advocate of that. But the pump you've got in the comfort of your own home, it can fit in with your life.
Right.
And as you quite rightly said, I read a book while I'm having my hour cycle. But to be frank, at the moment, mine's on loan. I'm trialing it. We have a lymphopress supply called compression therapy, and Naomi is fantastic with our members. Twice a year, typically in a January and a July, she'll offer our members a 14-day free trial to try a machine.
Nice.
And if they get on with it, then they have a conversation about the next steps with the purchase. And if they don't get on with it, they just return it back to Naomi. And I think for those watching, if that's of interest to you, rather than potentially investing what could be a couple of £1,000s, do get in contact with the supplier. There are other suppliers outside Lymphopress, and see whether they have that facility of trying before you buy. But hand on heart, I think it's part of our toolbox. Definitely.
It is, and that's what I was something to add to. I initially didn't even want a pump. I was like, oh, I don't need that. And Vicky, my lymphedema therapist, she said, oh, I think you should try it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I really enjoyed it and liked it. And like I said, it's all that I've used. And then when I found out I'm bilateral, it's like, okay, well, I need one that does, two legs, and I have a trunk as well. But I also knew I was not going to do MLD on myself. I know this. I mean, yes, I've watched the videos and I have tried to do it. So that's something else, is that I think everyone has to find what's going to work for them. If someone is like, oh, I enjoy the MLD and I do find time to do that, then that's awesome. That's great. I just know for me that I wouldn't do it on myself. I'll go to Vicky because she's amazing.
And I totally agree. I tried it myself. Number one, I don't think I'm very good at it.
Right.
It's obviously an area of something a specialist has been trained to do.
Right.
And B, I'm not disciplined to do that. And so, I use the pump, or I have RLD, which is the reflexology lymphatic drainage. At the moment, once a week with Karen Windsor in Sussex in the UK. I've had MLD locally in the past. So I think it's a mixture of all of those different therapies just to keep it going. But as you said, it's what works for not just the person's busy lifestyle, but their budget. And going to MLD, RLD, buying a pump, it's all a cost. In the majority of cases, it's a cost, unless you're lucky enough to get that on the health service in the UK.
My insurance through my company did pay a portion, but I still paid a chunk.
And it is an investment, but as we said earlier, we've got this for life. So some things are worth investing in, i.e. yourself.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
You talked about exercise as well. I don't like that word. I just like I kind of like the healthy lifestyle aspect of diet and exercise.
What's all that
Exercise,
about?
yeah,
It's
yeah, exactly.
overrated.
Because it, I've seen your posts online, and there's you with your weightlifting and your lunges, and these weights are
I
big.
gotta keep trying. I'm a work in
Honestly,
progress.
you are awesome, awesome. But number one, I can't be bothered to go to the gym. I'm
Right.
rubbish at discipline like that. Um, but there are things that we can do in our home
Hmm.
that doesn't need to
Oh,
be lifting half your body
no,
weight, right?
no.
Just some stretches and some lunges and bits and pieces like that. While
Oh
you're
God,
waiting for the
body weight, bands. Number one, just walking.
yes,
Just
yes,
walking is great. And one, it gets you outside. Well, I mean, you can walk in your house, but just going outside because I love to hike and be outside. I love to be outside.
mm,
So I'm a big advocate of hiking. And for me, it just the exercise part. A lot of the people I work with are also my friends. So that's my support system.
mm,
That it gets me there. I
mm.
don't know that I'd be as consistent, honestly. I just have a good group of people that support me and that I work out with. But there's things that you can do at home. But the best exercise is the exercise that you're going to do.
Mm.
And there's so many things. Just keep it simple. Really.
Yeah, I agree, and I must admit I didn't realize how simple you could keep it until the BLS, the British Lymphology Society, launched
Yeah.
the Everybody Can campaign. And even small things, as I said, waiting for the kettle to boil, just doing some
Yep.
heel raises and some stretches, and just making
Right.
use of the 3 minutes for the kettle or the advert break while the TV's on, just to do some stretches and some lunges, just to get that lymph pumping. And I
Exactly.
thought, you had to be a lot more active, but
No,
sometimes it's just the smallest of movements, repetitive movements, to get that pump in, isn't it?
it is. And yeah, personally for me, I do find, and when I say weight training, I'm not talking about, hundreds of pounds, but weight training helps my lymphedema. I feel that it does. It's the contraction of the muscle, squeezing the fluid.
Mm,
And again, someone else, their limb may blow up, then that's not for them.
mm,
But for me, I find that it really helps. And definitely walking and core exercises.
yes,
And
yes.
it doesn't have to be anything difficult. There's all, I love using where I work out, we have TRX, and I love doing core exercises on that, just bringing my knees into my chest, 25 of those,
Hmm.
maybe 3 rounds, take a break.
Hmm.
And it really does. It helps the core. And I find that helps.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with the walking. And there are pros and cons to that, which I'll come on to. I love golf. I'm not very good,
Oh, right.
but I enjoy it. And I've fortunately, through organizing a lymphedema charity golf day in June this year, met several guys and ladies who play golf, and since then we've got together
That's
and had a couple of
awesome.
rounds, which is great. So we're now
Yeah.
playing golf with fellow Lymphies, which is great.
Oh, I love it.
Um, but the downside, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, the older I've got, because I have lymphedema in my left leg, uh, my right side, the gait and my hip has been pretty painful, and
Mhm.
the wear and tear, you kind of lopsided, and the wear and tear on the other side
Yes.
is
Yes.
starting to impact. And I know I'm not alone on that. And
No.
it's taking this exercise, this gentle movement in
Mhm.
moderation, to your own capabilities, rather
Mhm.
than pushing on. And I was victim
Oh,
of that, 25 minutes on the cross trainer, really going for it, and my leg would suffer from it. It will get
and then
bigger.
that's not,
It's
so I don't
crazy, you know.
know.
So I've had my wrists slapped, and this is again something that through learning from my mistakes, I'm hoping to pass these tips on. So
Right.
you don't have to go at the gym for
No,
help, and
no.
overdo it. You know, gentle and regular and disciplined is where it's at.
Exactly. And that's what I always say is just try something. And especially if it's something that you've never done before,
Mm,
just ease into it and see, if you have arm lymphedema and you're gonna, do weights or some type of yoga where you have to do poses and you're on your arms, to see how it reacts, watch it. And the same with the legs. Because again, I always say this, lymphedema is not a cookie cutter disease and everyone reacts differently, and we're all gonna have things that work for some and then not for others.
yeah, yeah. Um, Earlier in the year, I was fortunate to meet a group of people with lymphedema in a London clinic, and they kind of all got together and decided that they wanted to form a sort of a dance choir group, to do something on stage to pull together as a team, but also to exercise, move, and
Right.
get out of their routine to push themselves to do something brand new. And I heard from that singing is good.
Oh,
The
right.
diaphragm, because
Diaphragm.
yeah, you're opening your lungs, and not just that, but
Yeah.
you're enjoying it. To touch on it earlier, the mental health element of lymphedema,
Right.
it can be enormous. And I think we've all gone through our roller coaster ride with this, but singing is good for the diaphragm and gets the lymphatics,
Right.
as well as if you put in on a bit of a dance track or something that you like to jig around to, it's getting you moving and it's putting a smile on your face. And
Exactly.
you know
And you're
what?
having fun.
You're having fun. And I know this
Right.
sounds really cliche, but when you're in having a bit of a crappy day, and a tune comes on the radio that you like, it lifts your mood.
It
So,
does.
I know that most of these young people now have these iPod thingies or phones with their, playlists on whatever they are.
Right.
Do a playlist and have a
Yep.
I need a pick me up playlist.
Right.
So,
Exactly. No, I have tons of playlists.
do you have a
And they're
lymphedema
exactly
pick me
like
up
that.
playlist?
I do. I have weekend playlists. I have, like really upbeat or just, yeah. Uh, it, I agree.
Because it can feel lonely, lymphedema.
Yes.
It's not something that everybody shouts about like
Mm-hmm.
we're comfortable doing. I hid mine away
Right.
for 5 years, I think, before I was able to start talking about it. I just wanted not to.
Well, right. Because it's one, like we've talked about, it's not well known. We're coming along. Like again yesterday when I was in the ER, that every nurse that came in and doctor had heard of lymphedema.
Good.
So that was good. Because sometimes that's maybe not the case, but yeah, it can be. You do feel alone because it's not like other things. It's like, oh well, and I think part of it is too because of, maybe this isn't the correct word, but I don't want to say disfigurement, but the swelling. Wherever you have lymphedema, the lymph, um, it hits, like psychologically, and like trying to find clothes or
Ah,
shoes.
yeah, that's an
Right.
episode in itself, right? Closing
Right.
shoes,
Right.
and also combining that with the garments, the compression
Hmm.
garments that you have to wear, which certainly in the summer months stand out like a sore thumb.
Right.
I mean, it's only 11 years in this summer that I wore shorts in public after having lymphedema. I've hidden them
Seeing
away.
that.
I've not felt comfortable. And it was one of the golfers at the lymphedema day that made me promise him, David Jailer will not mind me saying his name because I owe a lot to him. And reading Amy Rivera's book, Drop the Skirt, I have to say
Yeah.
also influenced me. And I
Nice.
thought, I have to wear shorts. So he promised me, David Jailer promised me, you have to wear shorts in public the next sunny day. And I thought, right, I did. And I posted it online. I had the most hits I've had in ages.
That's
Quite amazing.
excellent.
Um, But what I would say is for those who do want to hide it away, who aren't yet ready to put the skirt or the shorts on, there are some clothing companies which are on my website, which can supply globally. It's an online company in particular I have in mind called iTailor, who do shirts, blouses, suits, waistcoat suits, as well as shoes and jeans. So you can still, in our line of work, you know, your
Right.
sales environment. I was in a financial services environment for 20 odd years. You know, shirt,
Hmm.
suit and tie was what you wore. So to go
Right.
from a wardrobe of clothes where you just can't get into your trousers, which I'm sure you may have experienced,
Right.
you do. So it's quite a
Mhm.
life-changing, wardrobe-changing moment to go from
Right.
things that you've got in your wardrobe that they just don't fit anymore. It's so frustrating.
Right. Yeah. And shoes is like my thing, sandals and boots. And I'm fine now, but yeah, in the beginning, it was brutal.
Mm, mm. I mean,
Definitely.
we have a deal with Hotter. I don't know if you have Hotter in the States, but Hotter are a shoe company over here that do
Okay.
provide uh, products across the world, which are, shall I say, a comfier fit.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
they do a wide fit shoe for winter, for summer, sandals. So they've kind of taken on board, I think, the comments about people with lymphedema.
Okay.
And I'm doing a lot of work with them at the moment with plans for January, a big promotion in January and a free prize draw. So hopefully that'll all be nailed in the next few weeks.
Oh,
So
good.
keep an eye out on that because I know they have distribution in the States.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, clothes is a huge subject, and it does help. I found it had an impact on my self-confidence and my self-esteem when I didn't
Mhm.
wear the clothes I felt comfortable in. I had to end up wearing these huge clown-like jeans, which were terrible and big.
Right. And then that you're not feeling good in that. And then it's like a spiraling because then that affects your mood. And then it's the way then you're projecting. It's very cyclical.
Yeah, it is, and I think that what I've tried to do with the website is put on all the solutions that I found that have got me
Hmm.
through the last
Hmm.
5 or 6 years to get me back to what I feel kind of normalish. I don't think we'll ever be.
Right.
I'll never be normal, obviously, but as
Nor
normal as I
I.
can be.
and,
All
and
right.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. Nothing like it. So have a browse if you've got the time. Lymphoedemaunited.com. Meet the suppliers is where the clothing section and the shoes are, and that will just grow. And I'm looking to bring companies on, globally as well that can help us
Oh, that's
no matter
great.
what country we're in. But lifting this, Angela, has just reminded me what we haven't talked about is the importance
Oh, right.
of hydration.
Hydration.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So while I take a sip, why don't you
Uh,
tell us the importance of hydration?
okay. So, hydration. Yeah. I always keep with me because I'm in my car a lot. So, just a big flask. There's like the thermal that keeps it cold. So I grab it on my way out the door, and I think it's like 40 ounces. So I try to drink that, and then I go home. If I go work out, that's what I take with me. So yeah, I that is so important. And I can definitely tell. So like on the weekends, if I'm because I'm home, I definitely can tell because I'm not drinking as much water. Um, so that's very important, staying hydrated.
Mm. It is, and I fell victim to that last year because I was at my desk so much writing the book and doing the website, and I'd have a
Yes.
pint of water with my vitamin plink plink fizz thing in it, and it will sit there and sit there, and I'd
Yeah.
work away, and then I'd look at that, I haven't had a drink, and I'd look at the clock, and an hour would have gone by in a heartbeat, and
Right.
I've not had a sip of water, and it'll get to lunchtime, and the same pint
Uh-huh.
of water would be sitting there, so I was not keeping up with
Right.
the basic requirements of whatever it is, 8 pints in our world a day. So anyway,
Yeah.
my wife bought me one of these beakers, which I put in the picture in the book, where it has lines of the time
Oh,
of
yes,
the day,
yes.
every hour
I've
you have
seen
to drink,
those.
yeah, and then when you get to the end, you have to refill it for the second half of the day, and it kind of became addictive. That's my target. I love targets. You're in
Right,
schools, you get this, right? So I love
right,
goals and targets, and I was thinking, right,
right.
I can't drink anymore because I've got to wait.
Right, right. I think I'll be an overachiever today. I think I'm
I
going to
think
go
so,
for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was something to at least get me drinking rather than
Right.
going 2 hours without having a pint of water. It's
I know.
ridiculous.
And
So
it's
there's
sitting right there. And it's just because, right, we're just, it's like, oh, in a minute. And then
in a
it's been
minute.
2 hours.
And that's the thing, you said earlier
Yeah.
that routine, time
Mhm.
consuming routine, and it's not just lymphedema. Water's good for anybody, obviously,
Exact. Right.
but I need more self-discipline to self-care. I need somebody to kick my butt. Uh, and I think that person might be Amanda Sobey, actually. I might have to give her a buzz and get her kicking my butt on a regular basis. But yeah, so hydration is important. The mental health side we've touched on, but I
Yes.
think that the you are not alone element is something that's quite been quite an important learning curve for me over the last year, and the golf day where people drove from all over the country to meet
Mhm.
and play golf, but the golf was secondary. It was about meeting other people.
Right.
That
Right. Just bringing everyone together.
Yeah, and so what I'm trying to work on in the UK at the moment is thanks to social media, people
Mhm.
dotted all over the country, is to try and encourage people to say, where are you from? And buddy up. So,
Yes.
for example,
Yes.
we have a place called Portsmouth. I put this message out on Facebook saying, look, we're thinking about doing these local meetups over a cup of coffee or
Uh-huh.
a cup of tea. Just tell us if you're interested and where you're from. And on this thread, there were two different people from Portsmouth, both saying how keen they were to meet somebody local so they can either go
Oh,
for
God,
a
I
walk
love
or
this.
just pick up the phone when
Yeah.
you're having a bad day. So literally on the Facebook thread, I said, right, Bill meet Ben or Julie meet Jane, whatever it was, and hopefully
Yeah.
they picked it up from there. But I think it's so important to connect or unite with other people
Hmm.
and share the journey, share the burden, because nobody
Right.
understands lymphedema quite like somebody with
No,
lymphedema.
not at all. And and then again through social media, I've met, locally, probably, yeah, I want to say 8 to 10 people. And I've gone and met them, for coffee, and we, stay in touch. And yeah, and then you have this bond initially upon meeting because you you get it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it is something that I know our loved ones and people we care about, of course they care and they do, but it's just something when you have it and you connect with someone else.
absolutely. And we're, guess what, running out of time again,
Oh,
Angela. So on that point, why don't you just give us your social media address for
yeah,
people who want to connect with you?
right. It's Funky Lymphedema on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Angela Marquez, but I hang out predominantly on Instagram. So
Okay. And my address is at Lymph United, because we spell it differently to you guys. So I thought
yes.
I won't put Lymphedema United on my social media tag. Let's keep it simple. Uh, and those brave enough who are willing to share their journey, as you have on my website on the Meet the Members page,
Mhm.
that's becoming quite international now.
Nice.
Clearly,
I
we've got
like that.
many people from the UK, but also the States is growing in number. But we have Germany, I've got Canada, and Australia are joining soon. So gradually this will build up for an international community online. But
Mhm.
do, if you want to get in contact, my email address is hello@lymphunited.com, or the social media. But Angela, episode 2, what a blast. And you get well soon. You look after yourself. Take
I
care.
will.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your time. And maybe there'll be an episode 3. Who knows?
All right. Thank you for all you do, Matt, and thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, likewise. We'll
You're
speak
great.
very soon. You take
Okay.
care.
Bye.
Thank you very much indeed for watching. That was Lymph Uniting the World series episode 2. and keep them peeled for more series